the first names will indicate where that tissue is located, okay? Skeletal muscle is the type of bulky muscle that's always attached to the skeletal system. It's always attached to bone, okay? And when you look at skeletal muscles under the microscope, you're gonna see these striations, these lines. And so it's called skeletal striated muscle so far. Any muscle that you can think about and make contract is under voluntary control. All right? Any muscle that you can't think about and make it contract,
Like a heart muscle?
like the heart muscle, okay? Yep. And like the muscles that squeeze your food down when you swallow. Okay?
Esophagus.
All of that is involuntary muscle, okay?
Was that usually
Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. The esophagus, when you swallow, it's going to squeeze the food down by wave-like contractions that are controlled by the automatic, also called autonomic nervous system, which we will classify on Wednesday. Cardiac muscle. All right, cardiac muscle is here. It has striations. You can see stripes, but the stripes aren't as bold as in skeletal muscles, but there are striations. Cardiac muscle is under involuntary control. You don't have to think about it. It controls its own heartbeat. We'll discuss how that happens itself. But you can disconnect the heart from all of the nerves that influence the heart, that are connected to the heart. And in the proper salt sugar solution,
Ew.
the heart will continue to beat.
Sick.
Right. That's how they do heart transplants. Just keep it cool and keep it in the right kind of environment. Okay, so now let's look at the identifying features. The drawings will be helpful, but let's also look at the real thing. Okay. Okay, let's start with skeletal muscle as a reference point. All right, here's the drawing. Two things will jump out at you about skeletal muscles. The striations or the lines that you see, and the fact that skeletal muscles are multinucleated. All right? All of this is just one skeletal muscle cell. Here's a different skeletal muscle cell. These little purple things that look like they're almost outside of the cell, what are these? These are the nuclei of the muscle cell. Muscle cells synthesize so much muscle protein. And muscle cells are very, very long as cells go. Then it's difficult for one nucleus to control a cell that's this long, okay, which is a microscopic cell. And so it is helpful to have many nuclei in one cell. How does that happen? Well, mitosis is a type of nuclear division. So the nuclei keep dividing by mitosis over and over and over again. So each of these nuclei for a human would have 46 chromosomes, identical to every other nucleus. All right, but we learn mitosis as though cell division ends with the division of the cytoplasm, called cytokinesis. So when you have karyokinesis, the division of the nucleus, through prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. but the cytoplasm does not divide, then you get a multinucleated cell, like the skeletal muscle cell. Okay? And so these various nuclei are making these muscle proteins in bulk. The way that we talked about polypeptide synthesis, messenger RNA, transfer RNAs, picking up amino acids, etc. So that's a lot of territory for just one nucleus to control. So there are many, many nuclei. Third thing about skeletal muscle is that you will be able to follow a skeletal muscle cell for quite a distance. They run pretty parallel to each other. All right? I would have to find a section, a slide, where you can clearly see that the cells are parallel to each other for quite some distance. Quite often the muscle tissue will be teased so that you can see that. So in other words, imagine taking a slice of muscle tissue and using something like a kind of dull pin, and then just teasing the muscle tissue like that. That will separate the individual muscle cells so that you can see that they are parallel to each other. Now, compare that with cardiac muscle. When you look at cardiac muscle cell is shaped sort of like a Y. All right, it'll run for some distance and then branch off like this. And the branches may not even be equal. But all of this might be one cardiac muscle cell. All right? And this cardiac muscle cell will be connected to by way of junctional complexes, extracellular proteins that hold the cells together very, very closely. And so this might be another cardiac muscle cell over here. So when you try to follow a cardiac muscle cell, you can't follow it for any great distance. The other thing is when you look at the nucleus will be kind of oval, and the darkly stained genetic material may be in dots. Or you may get the impression that you can look through the nucleus. But you won't be able to trace a cardiac muscle cell any distance before it runs into another cardiac muscle cell. So, a drawing like this, here is one branch connected to another, but this is even better. This is the real thing over here. And so, here is a cardiac muscle cell that branches one way and goes there, branches here, but then this becomes a part of this cell. You know, you can't follow it any distance before it runs into another cell. Smooth muscle. Smooth muscle cells have a tapered shape. In other words, they look like they're pointed at both ends. Here is one smooth muscle cell. Call that double tapered shape, spindle shape. And so each smooth muscle cell has a nucleus that looks kind of oval in shape. But you don't see any striations. All right, this muscle looks smooth under the microscope as compared to striated skeletal muscle and striated cardiac muscle.